The leaks, the never-ending leaks, they never stop, they never cease. The leaks. First comes one, and I am weak. The leaks, they never stop, they never cease. The leaks, they never stop, they never cease inside my head. The leaks, the never-ending leaks. Someone save me from the leaks! Hello everyone, it's been a while since we've done one of these, but it's that time of year again where all the leaks are our friends, and Reddit is supplying us with stuff. I don't know what that was. Basically, there's been a new leak posted to Reddit, and seeing as it's a long-standing tradition that we cover, there is rife rumours on Reddit and other internet forums, I figured it was time to dust off this old video style and bring you the latest from Reddit. That's right, Crispy Pro, I'm back! These are my videos!
There can only be one!
But before we get into it, if you could do me a titty-tally little favour and click that subscribe button, I'd be very much appreciative of that. We are trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and if you enjoy regular Doctor Who content talking about all different things from across Doctor Who, feel free to subscribe. I also have a Twitter and an Instagram if you'd like to follow those, the link will be in the description below. But with that said, let's get into the video. So this leak comes from Project Indigo 63 on the subreddit r/Doctor Who News. Future of Doctor Who 2023 to 2025. Russell T Davies is on board to be showrunner until 2025, where after the 20th anniversary of the show's reboot and penning scripts for the 14th, 15th and 16th Doctors, he will hand over to a new showrunner. Who this will be, Russell himself isn't too sure yet. RTD'S new era will bring in a whole host of new names, with the most successful scriptwriter being handed the keys to the TARDIS. However, like rumoured, it is thought that Russell will stay on as an executive producer to guide the new showrunner. So let's break down what's said there first of all. The idea of Russell staying on for the 14th, 15th and 16th Doctors, so that would be David Tennant's 14th Doctor, Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor, and an unknown as of yet 16th incarnation. If he is staying till 2025, obviously, with these leaks, probably not true, but I enjoy talking about them. But let's suppose that he is indeed staying on until 2025. That would only give him a span of about 3 years to introduce 3 Doctors. So I'm not sure whether I buy that he would do a 16th Doctor as well as a 15th. That is unless Ncuti Gatwa has a shorter tenure than perhaps we could expect. After all, he is a very busy guy. However, I'm not too sure about that. The idea of him staying on as an executive producer in a sort of Kevin Feige role, not as main writer, but as a sort of architect for Doctor Who as a whole, is one that's not that far-fetched to me, and definitely could happen. However, I just don't know whether I see him introducing 3 Doctors in the span of like 2 or 3 years. 2 Doctors obviously makes sense, but 3? I don't know. Disney Plus's additional budget to Doctor Who is thought to mainly be going towards VFX and casting of the show. RTD is writing roles specifically for monumental names within the television and film industry, not to mention guiding up-and-coming stars into the show to boost popularity with the younger generation. With his prominence and the extra dollar, the show is set to regain mainstream stature. So yeah, basically what this is saying is Russell T Davies, big name in the film and TV industry, Disney Plus having more money means more talent is probably going to come on of a higher caliber. To be honest, I don't know whether that legitimizes this leak, because I think we've all sort of assumed that. You know, just recently it was announced that Russell T Davies was working with Kate Winslet on a Big Finish audio drama based on one of his earlier shows. So I don't know whether I think that really legitimizes this, other than just being sort of fandom conjecture. I could be wrong though. David Tennant and Catherine Tate's return will be the only familiar force we have within the show for quite some time, as Russell wipes the slate clean for the 60th. Even Neil Patrick Harris's involvement in the show is a fresh take on an old villain. The main theme will be villains and characters we are familiar with from other Doctor Who media, but nothing from New Who. There may be a Dalek or Cyberman in the odd episode, but even they will feature in a refreshed manner. Okay, so that's quite interesting. The main claims that it makes here, again, the one about David Tennant and Catherine Tate being the only main returning features for the 60th, have kind of been what's been assumed for a while. You know, there's been leaks from many credible people saying that David Tennant and Catherine Tate are the only main 2 returning for the anniversary. The idea that intrigues me here, though, is the idea that the Daleks and Cybermen may get, you know, sort of minor roles, but will feature in a refreshed manner. I think the idea of that could be pretty cool. If they were to indeed do something like that, you could kind of have twisted versions of the Daleks and Cybermen that are sort of manipulated by the toy maker himself. I think that would be really cool. But I definitely buy the fact that after the 60th, we're going to have a relatively clean slate after that point. The 60th is the final blowout for the show's anniversary before we get a fresh start with Series 14, which personally is what I think the show needs. Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson will take the show into a whole new era, where we see a brand new arc take over the Doctor's journey. Family and friendship will be at the heart of the show. There will be epic face-offs with horrifying enemies, but once again there will be relatable characters to fall in love with, and that isn't just Ruby Sunday. Horror is something Russell wants Doctor Who to really succeed at this time around. He wants people to hide behind the sofas. He is also creating monsters which will be the talk of the playground or the office. He is playing with edgy themes and issues, and the show will continue to have a target of a family audience, but he is aware that a shift in culture and change that really captures audiences in the 2020s. I think actually, again, this is a really interesting point, because younger audiences are much more used to things like Stranger Things. Now, I've got a brother who's like 12, who's been obsessed with Stranger Things for years. They're kind of used to having these more gory things on television and being exposed to these more gory things. So, obviously, within Doctor Who's realm, pushing that a little bit, sort of like what Philip Hinchcliffe did back in the 70s, is not an idea that I think is without merit. I do wonder again, though, how much of this is just sort of conjecture and how much of this can actually be backed by any actual source, but yeah. Russell will establish many reoccurring characters and expand the show's existing properties into new territories, all in preparation for a Whoniverse, as he previously teased in Digital Spy. We actually showed that article in my last video talking about Doctor Who spin-offs I'd like to see, so feel free to check that out if you'd like. We will see spin-offs, we will see old Doctors resurface out with the mainstream show, there will be varied media to span from the show, much like with SJA and Torchwood, which will not return, despite Eve Miles returning as Gwen Cooper in an upcoming episode. Also, Ace and Tegan are very much on the cards to appear in some form of spin-off. We're looking at something of the same magnitude as Marvel. Overexposure will not happen. Russell is very aware of Marvel's problem. Okay, so again, a couple of ideas to dissect there. The main one being Gwen Cooper coming back in some capacity in a future episode, which I don't think is too unlikely. However, I will say that there was a rumour about that back when Series 11 was filming. I think I remember George Sheard, or Ace Creeper as he was known at the time, covering that. So ever since, when people have talked about, a Gwen Cooper return, I've always been a little bit sceptical for that reason. However, I will say that the ending of Power of the Doctor does very much suggest that, some of these companions could be recruited to things. And I also do believe wholeheartedly that Russell would be aware of Marvel's sort of oversaturation problems. Russell has been known to be critical of the MCU previously, sort of chastising the lacking LGBT rep in shows like Loki, for example.
Nonetheless, I think huge clanging warning bells are ringing as the giants rise up, as the with Netflix and Disney Plus especially. I think that's a very great worry where, Loki makes one reference to being bisexual once and everyone's like, oh my God, it's like a pansexual show. It's like one word. He said the word prince. And we're all meant to go, thank you, Disney. Aren't you marvelous? It's pathetic. It's a ridiculous, craven, feeble gesture towards the vital politics and the stories that should be told. So they will damn us with their condescension in the end. So that's my worry now.
In terms of writers, there are many names being discussed. Some are fanatical, others make perfect sense. Here's some names I've heard floating about. Lawrence Ricard, Francesca Gardiner, Sally Wainwright, Pierce Ashworth, James Moran, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Mike Bartlett, Neil Gaiman, Source Bad Wolf Insider, no, not trust me, bro. So yeah, there'll obviously be a few names that are recognisable to you there if you've been following Doctor Who rumours for any long period of time. The main two that stick out to me are Sally Wainwright, who you'll remember prior to Russell D Davies's announcement as showrunner, was one of the hot tickets to sort of take over the role after Chris Chibnall as showrunner. She worked on things like Gentleman Jack. The other name that, of course, grabs my attention is Neil Gaiman, known for many things, including things like The Sandman, Good Omens, and Doctor Who-wise, did The Doctor's Wife and Nightmare in Silver. I would personally love to see him return as a one-off writer, though I think he said he's too busy for Doctor Who at this point, which I don't blame him. The other names I'm not as familiar with, obviously Phoebe Waller-Bridge as well, very accomplished writer. But again, when names are sort of postulated of writers, some of them could be true, some of them couldn't be. I think elements of this does sound like a guess, and I think this leak itself is vague enough to the point where I feel like it almost doesn't reveal too much, so that makes me think it's less likely to be accurate, like it doesn't really go into many specifics. However, at the same time, perhaps the fact that its claims aren't too outlandish perhaps gives it more legitimacy. But things like the 16th Doctor, if Russell is indeed staying on till 2025, doesn't make much sense to me, as he's only going to be around for a few years, so introducing another Doctor after Ncuti in that time span wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this supposed leak. Obviously, I'm going to clarify again, this is all just like speculation, I just want to hear your thoughts on it. Please like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you later.